Welcome into the NFL Opening Line Report each and every Monday, simulcast live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Wherever you're downloading your podcast at Sports Memo Podcast, we got Teddy Covers on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. Happy Monday morning to you, buddy.
Hey, Drew. How are you today, man?
I'm doing good. We got a bunch of people in the chat box wondering where we are. 10:05 a.m. Pacific start each and every Monday. Couple minutes late, Teddy, but I know you had a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, so I mean, here's a story. You know, I do a show from 9 to 9:55 or so, and then I go have a quick smoke, and then I come back and do this show. So when WagerTalk today runs a little bit late, this show is going to run a little bit late. That's just how it works. So I apologize if we're starting a few minutes late. It's my fault. How am I doing? Well, look, I only lost one game all weekend. Okay, so I can't complain too much. 75% all sports weekend. But man, my short lists were really good this weekend. And if I'd have loaded up and played a bunch of games, I didn't play enough is what I'm mad at. And I'm mad at Arizona not kicking the extra point. And of all the things I'm mad at, the most mad at myself is all week I'm like, just wait for Miami to go down and play Miami. I've been riding the Dolphins. And on Friday, I have my notes, release Miami. And I'm like, well, I'm going to wait. On Saturday, my notes, release Miami. And I ended up never putting out the Dolphins, and it was the easiest winner on the board yesterday. And I was riding that team, and I was so angry at that, Drew. Because, again, you go back and look at all my intro videos, okay, all my Betting 101 videos. I'm like, ride the streaks till they die. Ride the streaks till they die. If you're on a team, ride it till they die. Did I take my own advice? No. And that pisses me off. So it was a good weekend, but it could have been a heck of a lot better. So, you ever see me in a good mood on a Monday? It doesn't matter what I do. I can win, I'm in a bad mood on a Monday. If I lose, I'm in a bad mood on a Monday. It keeps me hungry. And we had a good weekend, but it should have been way bigger than it was.
Well, Teddy, hopefully we can turn that frown upside down. Monday morning to everybody out there. This is the NFL Opening Line Report. And Teddy, you had a great weekend. We have a lot of people in the chat box. It looks like a lot of people out there had a really good Sunday. So welcome into everybody. Davy Jones, Abel, Texas in the house, Robert Rainey, Travis Reed, all you guys. Welcome in. We got the over-under for betting alerts here, Teddy, set at 2.5. So feel free to throw in your bets in the chat box as we see how many doodle-oops we get this Monday morning, Teddy.
Sure. And so we were debating before the show whether the right number, because we have to have a hook on it. We can't just call it 2. All right.
Yeah, we don't
the right number is 1.5 with juice to the over or 2.5 with juice to the under on how many emergency betting alerts in any given show. And I thought the 2.5 number is probably the bet. 2.5 juice to the under is probably the better number.
Okay.
So that's the betting number. 2.5 over under 2.5 emergency betting alerts today. You guys can take your action as you like.
All right. I feel like we've already given out too much information on where the line is slanted here from the odds makers, Teddy and Drew. But guys, let's get into it. We got the Monday night, game here, 275, 276, an important one in the NFC North here, Teddy. -3 mostly. There is a couple 3.5s popping up with the Vikings on the road, Soldier Field, 44 being the total. We got the Vikings and the Bears going at it Monday Night Football, Teddy.
Sure. I mean, we're seeing a lot of respect for Minnesota in this number, obviously. And if you look at the results of the last couple of weeks, you can understand why. The Vikings, since the bye week, have played much better football on both sides, where Chicago continues to struggle since that hot start. The Bears have looked decidedly mediocre in recent weeks. Certainly, you look at some of the trends. Look, defensive dogs have been a fairly good bet, and Bears have the better defense, and they're home dogs in this one. Kirk Cousins 0-9 on Monday Night Football. Kirk Cousins in cold weather outdoors against good defenses has not fared well. So certainly trend bettors and all that are going to look at Chicago for this evening. From a current form standpoint, I mean, Minnesota came out of the bye week and has played 2 good games in a row. They have a third game in them. If they do, they're likely to win and cover. If they don't, it'll be Bears. I've got an opinion on that game. You can get it right now at sportsmemo.com. Only $9 on $9 Monday.
$9 Monday, each and every Monday at sportsmemo.com. I'm liking the Vikings side here, but we've seen, pretty much money throughout the week, Teddy, pushing this from 2.5 to 3 to now even starting 3.5. So it'll be interesting to see where this line finally goes off at kickoff.
Yeah, it's I haven't seen any buyback on Chicago yet, and this has been some sharp money towards the Minnesota side. People say it's a public. Yeah, the public likes the Vikings, but the line move is driven, by to move this line 2.5 to 3 to 3.5. That's not public money. That was sharp money on Minnesota. Now it's not. No self-protecting sharp is going to lay 3.5 with the Vikings. Okay, if you're a professional bettor, you can't do it because there were 2.5s and 3s out there. But the money that drove this line up was not recreational bettor money.
All right, Teddy, let's get into the opening line report. We got Thursday nighter here, Arizona and Seattle, divisional matchup here in the NFC West, 3-2-1, 3-2-2, Thursday nighter. We're seeing Seattle -3, some early indications that the total is 59. Teddy, Arizona with obviously a headliner this past Sunday. We got Seattle, Russell Wilson, not one of his best games, but they are at home, so short week for Arizona being the traveling team here. Kind of a tricky handicap. How do you feel?
It is. There's a bunch of stuff. I'm going to take a little bit longer with this game because there's a bunch of games on the card this week that we don't have a lot of info on. So I'm going to take a few minutes and talk about Thursday night football. Let me start with the way we're going to start with every single game. Take a look at the look-ahead line. This is a bettable line from last week. I'm going to give you my powering number for the game. We'll give you the opener and where the markets have moved. The look-ahead line here was Seattle -5.5. So my powering number is only Seattle -2.5, and the market's open 3.5 and bet down to 3. Had we done this show last night, this would have been an emergency betting alert game. It was clear the money was going to come on Arizona. However, the money's already come on Arizona. The 3.5s are basically gone right now, and it is down to 3. You talked about the issues with the Thursday night football and the road teams. And that's the prevailing mantra. It's really tough for the road teams on Thursday night. It's really tough for the road teams on Thursday night. Go back and look Thursday night football this year. Okay? And I went back and looked at the Chiefs won week 1. Okay? That doesn't matter. Since that time, I think the road teams won every game. The Bucks lost to the Bears. And that was Tom Brady on the short week.
And you're talking straight up or ATS?
I mean everything.
Okay.
Straight up and ATS. The Eagles beat the Giants straight up, but the Giants covered wire to wire that game.
Okay.
The road teams have dominated. Okay. Dominated so far this season. So we say, it's hard for the team to travel. It's hard for that hasn't been the case in 2020. And I meant to bring I meant to read them all off, but it doesn't matter. Okay. I was going to show you how dominant the road teams have actually been on Thursday night this year. But if you go back and look, it is dominance for the road team. So all of this, the home team is such an edge on Thursday night. In 2020, that's not working. Now, some of it is the road teams have been better, the better team in a lot of games. Say, the Packers killed the 49ers, and the Niners sucked. The Dolphins beat the Jaguars sucked. The Jets got killed. I mean, all these different teams got killed on Thursday night that are bad teams or in bad spots. So some of it may be a little bit of static. But it's really tough for the road team on Thursday night. Just hasn't been true in 2020. So I don't want to keep that alive. When you look at the difference between the look-ahead line of 5.5 and the current number of 3, you say, what merits that? Well, it's a Seahawks team that is, that 5-0 start is now a long way in the rearview mirror. They're 1-3 in their last 4 ball games. Russell Wilson intercepted twice, sacked 6 times yesterday, didn't throw a touchdown pass. Wilson's 13 turnovers this season, the most he's had in the first 10 games in his career. The second place was he had 11 in his rookie year, and again the following year. So Wilson at a career high turnover rate right now. And boy, this is a team that's missing all kinds of guys. Cluster injuries at running back, cluster injuries at cornerback, starting centers hurt. There are certainly issues with Seattle right now. It is worth noting Russell Wilson 32-9 straight up off a loss in his career. Only Tom Brady has a better winning percentage. Now, Arizona, thrilling win yesterday until they didn't kick the extra point. Both those games, the Browns bad beat and the Cardinals, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's a bad beat or not, but both those were like, oh my God, we got a miracle. Oh my God, we didn't. You had that moment of joy, and then I can't believe what I just saw. Following that. But After the game, DeAndre Hopkins talking about, this one is number one, the best catch of my career. It was to win the game, no question, against a playoff opponent. And now they have a short week with travel, coming off of that coming off of as emotional a win as you're going to have. Cliff Kingsbury talking about, being in a tie for first place in mid-November doesn't mean anything, quote. He expected this game to be a dogfight, quote. And his quote, "It'll come fast, but our guys like playing when the spotlight is on us." And I'm excited about Thursday night. It's Arizona offense is playing really fast right now. We've already seen some over money. We may well see more. If you're going to emergency betting alert this game, it'll be on the total, not the side. The side's already been taken out. I do expect more over money in a game that everyone expects is going to be a shootout. But once you get to 60, we don't see NFL games at 60, and this one could get there. Now you're talking, two teams, both teams could get to 4 touchdowns, and the game could still stay under. From a value standpoint, I don't know if we get to the over in this one.
And Teddy, you bring up the Thursday night, short turnaround for the road team. Just to kind of ask your opinion here on a handicapping question, do you think this is just short sample size that the road team is winning in 2020 in the NFL, or do you think there's actually something to this and it's a repeatable stat to look to bet down the road?
As long as there's no home crowds, okay, I would expect this to continue.
Interesting.
It's not about home crowd edge. I mean, think about what Seattle's like on a Thursday night.
Right.
And when when the road team can hear everything the quarterback's saying at the line of scrimmage, as opposed to the crowd making it difficult for them to communicate at the line of scrimmage, it really helps the offense, and it has all year, and it has continued to do all year. So until we see fans in stadiums again, look, some of it's definitely short sample size. And some of it's the fact that these home teams on Thursday night have been some of the worst teams in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, literally, you go down and look at it. So there's all kinds of asterisks to it. But the basic premise of teams are there's no home field edge, or there's a very limited home field edge this year, and the road teams are going to be better positioned to succeed than they have in years where the crowd noise is deafening. I think that is real, not myth, not short sample size. That's something that bettors can and should be betting now.
In a totals question for you, because we have some guys stating in the chat box, 59 seems a little high for a short turnaround. Bringing short turnaround into this, do you think that favors overs or unders just off the top of your head?
Neither.
Okay.
It doesn't. I mean, it's not like, this definitely favors overs or it definitely favors unders. It doesn't favor. It means the offense has less time to put a game plan together, and the defense has less time to put a game plan together. And we've seen the Thursday night games. We've seen plenty of them be high scoring. We've seen plenty of them be low scoring. I don't think there's a clear the short week favors one side versus the other. When you have two creative quarterbacks like this, Susan Wilson and Kyler Murray, that may help overs.
Yeah.
Because you have two QBs who can make things happen on the fly. Whereas when you have strict pocket passers, it may help the under because they're not QBs that are likely to make things happen on the fly.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. Of course, it's the NFL opening line report. If you're watching on Twitter, please smash the like button. On YouTube as well, simulcast on the WagerTalk YouTube. If you're watching on replay, feel free to drop a comment below as well. So we got the Sunday slate here, guys. We promise we won't take that much time on all these games. One, because we can't. We're up against it time-wise. But we got 4-5-1, 4-5-2, top of the card on Sunday. We're working our way down in rotation order. We got Philadelphia Eagles at the Cleveland Browns. We're seeing Browns -3 in the hook, 47.5 being the total in this one, Teddy.
Doodly-oop this for me.
Doodly-oop, doodly-oop.
Doodly-oop, doodly-oop, doodly-oop. Absolutely. Look ahead line here. Cleveland -2. My party number, Cleveland -2.5. There are 3.5s out there now. I do expect this to go back down to 3. It's not like the Browns. I understand the Browns ran the football really well yesterday. I understand that weird things happened to Philadelphia yesterday. There is likely to be support for the betting markets for the Eagles, I think, this week. I'm not convinced the 3.5s are going to last. And again, look ahead was 2, powering numbers 2.5. This may well be a buy low opportunity on Philadelphia. Look, they had gained 6.8 yards per carry yesterday, and were 0 of 9 on third downs. That doesn't make sense. All right. When you're running the football, you convert third downs, but they had 11 penalties, only one pass play longer than 16 yards from Wentz. And Wentz had a pretty rough day. You know, he was throwing passes high. He was throwing passes at the shoelaces. He wasn't pretty, but he did avoid committing a turnover the first time in the last 9 games. His streak of 8 straight games with a turnover was the longest active streak in the NFL. But there was all this love for filling the betting markets yesterday. They got a bunch of guys back, but those guys weren't on the practice field enough. They weren't in sync. They weren't in rhythm. One would anticipate that Philly will be better this week than they were last week. Cleveland, I mean, look, you have to take it with a grain of salt because of the weather conditions yesterday. There was no passing game. They really ran the football well. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt were both monsters on the ground. But this is not a good passing game right now. And some of it, again, was weathered yesterday. So we have 2 teams that aren't throwing the football all that well, but 2 teams that are loaded with playmakers. Really interesting total, sitting at 47.5. That total's already been steamed up. We could well see more over money in the not-too-distant future.
Teddy, we got Atlanta and New Orleans up next. We got kind of a rivalry here with the New Orleans Saints, -7. There are 6.5s out there.
No, that's all fake.
Okay.
There's no lines on this game.
Interesting. Okay. So don't trust your odds screen.
There's no lines for that. I mean, there's a couple lines. I mean, Circa posted a 5 for the Saints, and they posted a 3 for Carolina. But the broader market has not posted on either of these 2 games. Look-ahead line here was Saints -7.5, my powering number. And no, we're going to talk about the difference between Breeze and Bridgewater.
Yeah.
My powering number is 5.5. If Breeze starts, my powering number is 5.5. If not Bridgewater, if Winston starts. Okay.
No change. Wow.
No change. All right. None. Drew Brees isn't good.
Is his backup any good?
He's as good as Drew Brees.
Okay.
All right. That's my number. I'm sure the markets will react significantly. Jameis Winston led the NFL in passing yards last year.
Okay. And interceptions as well.
He led the NFL in passing yards. It wasn't 20 years ago. Wasn't 5 years ago. It was last year. Jameis Winston come off the bench and be every bit as good as Drew Brees. And I don't know the markets are going to look at that way. The Saints held San Fran to 4.2 yards per play, and they forced 4 turnovers. All right. I got a bunch of quotes on Breeze. Quote, I'll just give you this one. I'm going to do everything I can to be as effective as I possibly can come next week. I mean, nothing's a long-term thing. It's just a matter of how long it's going to be. And honestly, I really don't know. It's not something quite to the extent that I've experienced. I think Winston will go. I think the markets will come down. I think you might get a cheap price on New Orleans as a result. All that said, of course, we'll see plenty of Taysom Hill. It'll be Winston and Hill will both run packages. The Falcons are 3-1 under Morris. They're one Todd Gurley kneel down from 4-0. And this is a team that we've seen them show all kinds of fight the last 2 years after playoff elimination. That's why Dan Quinn kept on coming back because they would get eliminated from the playoffs and fight. Like I said, the only bettable line I'm seeing right now is a 5 on this game. My powering number is 5.5. And if Winston plays, there'll be Atlanta money. I'm not so sure that money's going to be right.
Teddy, I got a little theory here with New Orleans. You bring up Winston, leading the NFL in passing yards, and then obviously throwing to the other team, which isn't always bad for overs here. If Winston is the starting quarterback going all the way through, do you think there's value on the over?
So Winston is the over quarterback. Breeze is the under quarterback. Right. I'm with you 100%.
Okay.
Let me get you a Winston start, a Jameis Winston quote here. Talking about, coming off the bench yesterday and getting put in the game, and I think he completed. He was 5 of 5 for 60 yards, and then he didn't do much down the stretch. And he threw one awful pass that should have been picked that stood out to me. We're like, oh, that's a Winston throw that Breeze wouldn't have thrown. Mm-hmm. Winston, quote, I was very comfortable, and I just know that my main job was to go in there and do what Drew would do. Just protect the football, try to lead us down there and score. I try to give everybody my all. I try to be right there with Drew along the way, watching film with him, preparing with him. So I felt like I went out there and was prepared to lead this team. And I'm happy that my teammates had my back and they went out there and executed well and things went our way. Now, the Saints did suffer a bunch of injuries in that ball game. Marshawn Lattimore got hurt. Receiver Traquan Smith got hurt. Josh Hill ruled out with a concussion. Malcolm Brown left early with a calf injury. C.J. Gardner left the field with an unspecified injury. a couple of offensive linemen. Armstead and Pete both left, but both guys came back. But I definitely need to be aware of those Saints injuries about guys other than Drew Brees. The Saints, again, last year when Brees got hurt, they went 5-0 and they were an under machine in the Teddy Bridgewater. The defense really stepped up, and the defense played great again yesterday.
Teddy, what about the Atlanta side? I mean, 2 straight wins and covers and off of a bye. The Falcons a bye for you?
Yeah, so I mean, we just thought that Atlanta's one Gurley kneel down away from being 4-0 in the Raheem Morris era. We've seen this team, when dead, play hard each of the last 2 years. That's how, in 2019 and 2018, that's how Quinn saved his job. So I would not be surprised at all to see the Falcons fight the good fight, whether that's good enough against the Saints team that started to play defense now. New Orleans looked real good the last couple of weeks for future bettors. That the defense had some issues. The defense doesn't necessarily have those issues right now. I'm a little bit bullish on the Saints.
Okay, Teddy, next game up, kind of same limited marketplace profile here, Detroit, Carolina. I'm seeing 3s on the screen, but they could be incorrect, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm seeing a couple of 3s out there that I think are real. Look ahead line, Carolina -2. My powering number, Carolina -2.5. Now, look, it was a rough game for the Panthers yesterday. The Bucs were in the red zone 8 times. The Bucs didn't punt in that game. That's all you need to know. And Carolina, I mean, Matt Rule called the second half, quote, completely unacceptable. All right, now they've lost 5 in a row. Bridgewater had a knee injury in the fourth quarter of that game. Rule's, quote, he got up and walked off. When it comes to knees and stuff like that, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to see him. I have no idea how it is. It's supposedly what I read this morning is that he's day to day. If Bridgewater can't go, Carolina would go with either P.J. Walker or Will Grier. Grier was a guy who I thought coming out of college had an NFL future.
You can throw it.
P.J. Walker did really well in, what was it, the AAF?
The new league, yeah.
Yeah, but I watched him play at an NFL level. I don't believe in P.J. Walker as an NFL quarterback. In my mind, there's a big difference between Grier and Walker if Bridgewater can't go. So after the game for Carolina, it's worth noting the locker room was, Rasul Douglas talking about, said there were a lot of expletives thrown around. The Czech Thompson basically cursed everyone out and said we didn't fight hard enough. And Shaq Thompson, of course, was the guy who called that 98-yard touchdown run by Ronald Jones. Thompson was said, we knew what was going to happen and we still didn't do our job. That's on us. That was from Trey Boston. But Thompson apparently called out the play and nobody got it right. And they had 35 yards in total offense in the second half. The second worst second half in Panthers history. They had a worse second half in terms of yards. Again, 35 yards and a half is not good. In their expansion season, the Bills had Carolina to 15 yards in the final 30 minutes. It's been a while. So Carolina's off the worst game they could possibly have. And interesting to see how that locker room holds up. And we'll see if Bridgewater plays. If Bridgewater doesn't play, Detroit may well come the favorite here.
Yeah, and Walker from the XFL. Shout out to teasing the NFL in the chat box. Yeah, that was it. And also one thing about his college career, he I think he started as a sophomore there at Temple. And he never really got better. That was always one thing that worries me about him.
Yeah, Stafford was balling. By the way, Matthew Stafford was balling yesterday. He had, and I mean, here's a stat for you. Matthew Stafford just tied Joe Montana for touchdown passes. And if you're like Joe, you're like Stafford cannot be mentioned in the same breath as Joe Montana on anything. We'll give the Lions credit for they ran the football yesterday, averaged 6.8 yards per play. They only got sacked once. DeAndre Swift had a monster game. The offensive line played well. Detroit, as good as they could play, lead by 3 touchdowns, and there you are. Oh, sweating out the Lions. That's it's really hard to lay points with that team. They do not ever play 60 minutes of football.
Teddy, next game up, kind of an interesting handicap in itself. We got the New England Patriots. They find themselves with a little bit of life here in the AFC East. -1 point road favorites here at the Houston Texans. 47.5 being the total here, Teddy.
And we should – so I didn't doodly-oop this. It's not an official doodly-oop. But this line just moved. I mean, this line just moving between when I wrote down my notes and now. It went from Houston -1 and New England -1.
The favorite.
Yeah, switch of favorites. So, and I'm even seeing a 1.5 out there at New England. So this isn't official, but if you like the Patriots, I'd move quickly. Look at line was Houston 3. Powering number is Houston 1. And I mean the Patriots. I mean they played good defense. Coming off that bad game against the Jets on Monday night, they were a step ahead of Lamar Jackson all night. They made. They created turnovers. They were able to run. Damian Harris was able to. Harris was really good last night. But I don't often think about running backs that are really good. Harris was really good in terms of what he caused. And the Patriots went on that huge run, 23-3 run from the the start of the second to the end of the third after that first Baltimore TD. A positive sign. Of course, the game was played in the quagmire. The Ravens aren't doing anything right now, and they've got all kinds of injury problems. And I'm not looking to say, oh, yeah, big buy sign on New England off of this. And while the weather helped the Patriots yesterday, the weather really hurt the Texans. The Texans can't run, and they can't stop the run. Okay, that's a problem when the wind is blowing like it was in Cleveland yesterday because their game – I mean, I'm going to make a case for when you're ranking NFL quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes is number 1. I'm not hearing any argument. I mean, you can argue elsewhere. I'm not going to believe you. The question is, who's the number 2 QB in the NFL? Say, is it Aaron Rodgers? Is it Russell Wilson? Maybe make a case for Deshaun Watson, okay? Because there's been nothing around him. And Watson's been they should be scoring 30 every week. Watson's as good as anyone, but they were so sloppy yesterday. Mistakes and penalties look like a Romeo Crennel coach team, which it is. And of course, they have no pass rush at all, which is a big concern. The offensive line couldn't get it done. They got stuffed on 3rd and goal, stuffed on 4th and goal. These are problems for Houston. Again, we've seen the money come on New England. New England's coming off a good-looking game where they I don't know if it's a good-looking game. A game where they pulled off an upset as an underdog, and no one expects the Patriots under Belichick. We expect these teams to get better as the season progresses. And the Texans at times look lifeless yesterday. I'm not surprised there's New England money. But does New England get to 3 here? I'm not convinced they do. Interesting game. Might make my card. Texans are on my list.
Okay, Teddy. Looking towards the Texans. I thought you were going to go the other way with that one. Interesting
No,
stuff.
I'm not buying New England off a quagmire game that they won and look better than they actually are.
Both of them had weather, like you talked about. I think you can make the same arguments against Houston, though. That win, with so much weather going on, and I don't know. All right, I digress here. I'm just going to move on, Teddy. I like the New England side. I think they're showing a little life here, and that record's a little bit misleading. So I think they show some value in the marketplace. But we got Pittsburgh at Jacksonville up next, 47.5 being the total. We got the Steelers -9 in the hook. I'm seeing -10s as well, Teddy.
Yeah, you can probably doodle you, but this one's likely. I don't know that it's going to come back. The Steelers have played up or down in the level of competition all year. Look ahead line here was 10, powering number 10.5. As you see the 10s and moving towards 9.5, if you like the Jags plus the 10, I'd grab that right now. And I know this is a team that's lost 8 straight. You had a rookie QB, look, Jake Luton's 0-2 as a starter. Gardner Minshew could get cleared this week. I think Luton's going to get another shot, even if Minshew is cleared. This is a team that is winning the turnover battle now. They're forcing turnover. Defense has played better in back-to-back. Remember, they allowed an NFL record tying 6 straight games where they allowed 30-plus. And the defense the last couple of weeks since the bye, Marone said, we're going to throw everything out and take chances and all of that. And the defense has been better the last 2 weeks. And the Steelers, have tended to play up or down a level of competition. They're coming off a big divisional win. I'll give Roethlisberger a ton of credit. He didn't practice all week, and he came in and looked fine in nasty weather against Cincinnati. His quote, really just felt nice and rested coming in today. I tried to talk coaching to see if I could take next week off, too, from practice.
Yeah.
They held the Bengals to 0 of 13 on 3rd down conversions. But I talked about this about Steelers, and I'm going to continue to talk about this and why I'm not excited about laying these prices with Pittsburgh. They were outrushed 6.6 yards per carry to 2.2 yesterday. Steelers can't run the football, and that's their dirty little secret that's going to come back and haunt them somewhere down the line. Money coming for Jacksonville. If you like the Jags plus 10, I wouldn't argue. See, I wouldn't argue with grabbing that right now, even though it's not an official emergency betting alert.
Two more 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific kicks. Here's the next one up, 463, 464. Cincinnati Bengals at the Washington football team. We got the football team -1 in the hook. There is a -2 out there, 46.5 being the total, Teddy.
We don't have Packers, Indy here. We got Cincy.
We have Packers.
Okay.
I don't know. Next one on my
where'd
board
you
is
go?
Cincinnati, Washington. The Cincinnati Bengals. Washington football team.
All right. Yeah, I've got 2 games rotation order ahead of that, but I will.
Okay, so we got Green Bay, Indianapolis. You want to go next?
Yeah. Let's do Green Bay, Indy, and then Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Green Bay, Indy, then Cincy, Washington. Sorry.
Okay, I think it threw it off. Rotation number 461, 462, but a time change here. I'm guessing Green Bay at Indianapolis Colts. We got the Colts -2 in the hook or -3, 51.5 being the total, Teddy.
So, I mean, the markets are coming heavy on Indy this morning, and I mean heavy. Look ahead line here was Green Bay -2.5. My powering number is Pick'em. It was basically Indy -1.5, -2 last night, and I'm seeing 2.5s and even some 3s popping. I don't think it gets to 3. At 3, there's going to be resistance, significant resistance. But 2.5 right now appears to be the prevailing number. I wouldn't hesitate grabbing a 3, even though the money's poured on this side so far. I don't think that there's a couple of 3s out there I'm not convinced they're going to hold. I mean, there was, the Packers, they gave up a punt return touchdown yesterday. And this is a team that had a punt blocked earlier in the season, so they're now recurring special teams issues. Green Bay couldn't run the football. 29 carries, 81 yards against the Jags yesterday. Aaron Jones just 46 yards on 13 carries. Meanwhile, they were gashed on the ground by James Robinson and the Jaguars. But, I mean, that's Green Bay. They're not a team that tends, like Pittsburgh, they often play up or down to the level of competition. I'll just leave it at that. And I'm not downgrading the Packers off of that performance. Now, the Colts coming off an impressive game on Thursday night, extra time to prepare. We have a Green Bay team that's had issues with punt protection and punt coverage. We have a Colts team that had an infinite number of special team scores. Where special teams, flipped the game against Tennessee on Thursday night, with Indy special teams being the good thing in that contest. It's a Colts team that's lacked playmakers all year. Michael Pittman stepped up a first 100-yard game for the rookie out of USC, and if they get him as in the playmaking mode, now all of a sudden they're better. And, of course, Indy's defensive stats continue to impress the markets. That's why all this money has come on the Colts so far. Of course, note Indy's schedule. They have not faced a QB like Aaron Rodgers all year or an offense like Green Bay's all year. But if the Packers can't run, maybe it's not as good an offense. I understand the Indy money. I don't know that I agree with it. Green Bay likely to be, this is going to be a sharp square divide game. The Joes may, again, pros have beaten the Joes pretty good in most of these games this year. I'm not convinced that's going to be the case in this one. I lean dog at +3. That's a good number to get with Green Bay. Grab it now because it won't be there.
Okay. Teddy, heading back to the 10 a.m. Pacific kicks here, 463, 464, Cincinnati Bengals, Washington football team -1 in the hook or -2, mostly 1 in the hooks, though, 46.5 being the total.
Look ahead line here was a pick-em between Cincy and Washington. My powering number has Cincy as a 1-point road favorite, and yet the money's come pretty exclusively on the Washington football team. There were pick-ems last night. Those are gone. There were 1s last night. Those are gone. Now we're looking at 1.5 and 2 for Washington. Again, Alex Smith is not good, okay? Back-to-back 300-yard games. You look at the box score. You say, oh, Alex Smith, wow. Career best 38 completions yesterday's game. 390 passing yards, 55 attempts. It's also a Washington football team that lost the game because of a stupid defensive penalty by their highly touted rookie, Chase Young. That's never good for locker room stuff when your number 1 pick loses you a game. And now I don't like that.
It was a questionable call.
Yeah. The questionable call was the one where the Niners got flagged on the hit on Drew Brees that literally was a perfect hit, and because Bridges' ribs hurt, then here's a flag. I mean, that was literally done perfectly, textbook, everything, and the flag still goes on it. So, I mean, refs throw what they throw. Washington's defense says they're top 10 in yards allowed. They just gave up 6 yards of play versus Detroit. The defense is declining, and the quarterback play is no good. Now, Cincy had nobody in the secondary this week. I think they had 3 healthy cornerbacks on the entire roster. That said, and again, they went 0 for 13 on third down, but they outrushed the Steelers by 4.4 yards per carry. I don't want Joe Burrow against a good defense right now. When you get Joe Burrow against a less than good defense, there may be something to note. And Burrow's quote after the game, worth noting, quote, "You're not going to be able to win football games against a team like the Steelers as good as they are when your quarterback plays like I did in the second half." You hear me talk, and I'm not too down in the dumps because I know I'm not going to play like that very often. I might play like that, hopefully never again, but maybe once a year. So Burrow's talking the talk. The Redskins' defensive stats better than what they actually are right now. And yet the money coming for Cincinnati.
Teddy, next game.
I'm sorry, for Washington, because of that Cincinnati, I mean, we do have to know who's going to play in the secondary for Cincy because, I mean, they only had 3 healthy cornerbacks yesterday, and it showed. They have to have – if they get bodies back in the secondary, Cincy will absolutely be in my short list this week.
All right, Teddy, let's hit – go ahead.
I just said if they get the bodies back in the secondary.
Okay. The last 10 a.m. Pacific kick here. Tennessee at Baltimore, 465, 466. We got the Ravens, -6 or -6 in the hook at home, 48-47 being the total here, Teddy.
Look ahead line here, Baltimore -7. My powering number, Baltimore -3.5. Markets, Baltimore 6.5. A lot of injuries for Baltimore. Okay. Nick Boyle, season-ending injury yesterday. Nose tackle, Brandon Williams went out with an ankle injury yesterday. They're already missing 3 defensive starters in Calais Campbell and Jimmy Smith and L.J. Ford, all hurt. Lamar Jackson off the loss. Quote, "We're ticked off. Nobody likes losing, especially when we have a lot of talent on our team. We just have to regroup." Yeah, this is a Ravens team that had won 10 straight away from home before they got beaten up last night. First loss on the road since week 3 of last season. Worth noting, Lamar Jackson now 0-6 when trailing by 10 points or more at any time in a game. Last Sunday against Indy was the first time that Jackson notched a come-from-behind win in the NFL when they were behind by halftime. So for in-game betting stuff, worth noting, Baltimore is not rallying well at all when trailing. And, of course, they're having all these issues with Matt Skura, the center, who had, 3 bad snaps yesterday. And that, those 3 snaps between them, they killed their chances in that contest. They really did. Tennessee, of course, is an equally bad situation as Baltimore. And, they maybe worse. All kinds of special teams issues in the loss to Indy on Thursday night. They do have extra time to prepare, but it's not like it's a team that's playing particularly good football right now. Gostkowski's missed 8 field goals, most in the NFL, and 2 extra points. You sign a punter, and then the punter shanks one and has one blocked, and it directly results in you losing the game. That's you not doing a good job of figuring out which guy to sign. That's all on the coach, And the defense, which has been pretty good, gave up 430 yards against Indy. Indy doesn't do that, Indy's been dink and dunk. And Tennessee's offense, back-to-back weeks, we only scored 17. Yeah, they put up 24 against the Bears, but there was a fumble return touchdown in that game. So it's back-to-back weeks where Tannehill and the offense hasn't worked. I don't know that I trust either one of these 2 teams. I'm not sure the markets will either. 6.5 down to 6 mostly. I'm not anticipating this line being a significant mover throughout the course of the week.
Teddy, another 425 Eastern, 125 Pacific kick here. We got 469, 470, the rotation number. Dallas Cowboys at the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, Minnesota playing tonight in the Monday Night Football game. So correlated bet here. If you like Minnesota tonight, you might want to look to also bet them next week as well, as they're laying in a preliminary market here. Teddy, -8 in the hook. There is a -9 out there. I'm not seeing many totals in this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much out there for this right now. Look ahead line with 9.5 on the Vikings. My powering number going into Monday Night Football is 8, and the market's in that range right now. For the look aheads for this one, we won't see until Minnesota plays tonight. I think the better correlation here is Bears to Cowboys as opposed to Vikings. If the Vikings get slapped around tonight in Chicago and Kirk Cousins doesn't look good again and the defense doesn't look good again, and it's a Chicago night, I'm not convinced this line's coming more than a touchdown. Minnesota looks bad. The markets could easily crash on a team that has 3 wins, heading into the week before Thanksgiving. So I think if you like the Bears, it makes more sense to put money on the Cowboys right now. Just worth noting for the Cowboys, here's the quote from Jerry Jones, who apparently is the GM and head coach. Quote, debating is who's going to start at QB this week. All right, we don't know if it's going to be Dalton or Garrett Gilbert or whatever. And Gilbert was okay. But here's the quote from Jerry Jones. Quote, when we signed Andy Dalton, I really thought we had arguably the best backup quarterback that I've ever been associated with. And we've had some good ones. The good things that you saw Gilbert do, you say, well, is there just a lot more than that with Andy? And there is. There just is. So there's no debate as to who their quarterback's going to be if healthy. Dalton's on a COVID list. I don't know if he had it or if he was surrounded by it or whatever, but you have management thinking that Andy Dalton is still, quote, the best backup quarterback that I've ever been associated with. That's the mentality in Dallas right now. That's all you need to know.
Guys, his Teddy Covers on Twitter at Teddy_covers. Hot right now in the NFL. Obviously knows his NFL as you're listening to him. He's hot 7-0 and one draw there, but 100% November NFL, 71% with his 5%. That's top rated plays at WagerTalk and sportsmemo.com. And he's 207 and 158. That's 57% in the NFL since 2015. So a long-term track record there, beating the NFL betting markets at a 57% clip. So check him out. Sports Memo, WagerTalk.com. It's also $9 Monday, so you can get his top play for just $9. Teddy, next game up, we got Kansas City Chiefs at the Las Vegas Raiders, seeing 56.5 as the total. We're seeing Chiefs -6 in the hook, or there is a -7 out there at Allegiant Stadium on Sunday.
Let's get the noise. Doodly-oop. Emergency betting alert. If you like the Raiders +7, grab it now. All right. Don't know that it's going to be there. Might be, but we don't know it's going to be. And that's one that there are still plenty of 7s out there that you can grab. The market move has been pretty heavy towards Cincy. Look ahead line. Cincy, KC, I should say. Big difference between the Bungles and the Chefs. -7 was the look ahead line. My powering number is -6.5. There's 7s out there at the open, and now we're seeing a ton of money on the over for this one. 55 at the open, now 57 today. If you like the over, you've already missed it. I don't think it's going to get there. And of course, the Raiders are the only team to beat the Chiefs so far this season. And KC, you have Andy Reid with extra time to prepare in revenge for a team they've lost earlier in the season, which is not necessarily a situation I'm excited about betting against. And I love the fact that the Chiefs, they've been Belichick-like in that their game plan legitimately changes from one week to the next. They've been able to win with a ground and pound attack. They've been able to win with a let's chuck it downfield attack when they're playing man. They've been able to win with a dink and dunk attack when they're attack when they're playing zone. I give Reid credit for that, and I certainly like Reid with extra time to repair. All that said, the Raiders are getting better. They're getting better and better. They've been able to dominate the line of scrimmage in recent weeks. Jacobs, monster day, the third consecutive day game here in November where he's reached 100 yards. The secondary for Vegas is getting better. They're making plays. They're picking off passes. They had their first red zone takeaway of the season in the win yesterday. Worth noting for totals bettors. We think of the Chiefs as this over team. The Raiders are the opposite of that. They're eating clock, long, slow drives. And that's what they did the first meeting against KC. They want to keep that offense off the field. I would expect to see more of that here. Again, we've seen over money early, not my money.
Teddy, next game up, we got Miami in Denver, 475, 476 here, the rotation number. Well, I'm just keeping it on Sunday if that's all right with you, Teddy. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird, 2020 with these rotation numbers, they're kind of getting all over the place, but we do have the Dolphins and the Broncos. This is an interesting handicap in itself, Teddy. I mean, we got the Dolphins on a heater here, to say the least, both straight up and ATS. -3. There is still a -2 in the hook with juice with the Dolphins on the road here at the Denver Broncos, a mile high, 46 the total. Just wanted to throw out something here, Teddy. Denver not looking too good. Miami on this heater, but we got at least tied for elevation-wise, the lowest elevation city, going to the highest elevation city. I don't know, Teddy. How much does that factor into your handicap?
Elevation, none. Weather conditions could, but the elevation, no. I mean, I've heard guys use all kinds of theories about how much the weather, the elevation affects them. My historical, and again, it's something that I've heard for 20-something years being in Vegas, and I haven't found any edge to it.
Okay.
So
maybe now, just the cold
sure.
wind. Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to look and see if Tua's ever played a cold weather game, ever, anywhere, because I can't think of one. None come to mind.
I can't think of one. No.
Yeah. And again, I'm disappointed I'm really very disappointed in myself for not riding Miami yesterday. Because now it's a team I've been riding, and now what do I do with the Dolphins? Oh, I missed another one. Now they've won 5 in a row. They have a huge betting bandwagon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this would have been emergency betting alert if the show goes at last night, because this line had to move to 3. It already moved to 3. There's I think 1, 2.5 out there. I'm not convinced that's real. So we had over under 2.5 on emergency betting alerts. This would have been the third, but it's already gone. Ooh, that's a tough beat. If anyone has the over, although we still have a couple games to go. So the look-ahead line was pick'em, and my powering number is 5. All right. I mean, there's nothing fraudulent about Miami, and yet Miami keeps on having these box scores that don't blow anyone away, and everyone says, oh, well, they keep scoring non-offensive touchdowns. They had a block punt equals a 1-yard touchdown drive. Tua didn't get sacked yesterday. And think about how good Herbert's been. All right, the Dolphins shut him down. Nobody for the Chargers had 40 yards receiving. Okay. That Dolphins defense is real. And Miami's, they're a one-way team. They're still a one-way team. Meanwhile, Drew Lock threw 4 more interceptions on Sunday. They were -5 in turnovers in that game. And the markets are going to say, oh, they're -5 in turnovers. They'll bounce back off of that. They won't be that bad, except for that Lock. He's last in the league in completion percentage. He went 23 of 47 yesterday. He took a pounding in that ball game. He only took 2 sacks, but let's not forget the Raiders came into the game with just 9, fewest in the league. Offensive line, rotating players in and out. They've got 4 different guys started at right tackle already this season. And after the Dolphins, they got the Saints and Chiefs next. So it might get ugly here for Denver the next couple of weeks. And if they're going to win a game, this is supposed to be the game that they win. Not with my money.
Teddy, I'm trying to do a little research here on Tua, some of his late season Alabama games. I'm not seeing anything that's going to be like Denver weather.
Nope. No, but let's check the forecast to see what it's like. Because look, I mean, this week is gorgeous in Vegas. It's supposed to be in the record highs all week. True. So I really don't know what the weather, and I don't want to say on Monday morning, oh, this weather's going to be bad. If it's in the 50s and the 40s, I'm not going to be worried about it.
Okay.
If it's going to be in the 20s or 30s, we're going to be concerned about the Dolphins.
And shout out to the dude in the chat box. He's saying 40, partly sunny next Sunday here in Denver. So not terrible, but not warm.
The dude abides. Love it.
All right. We got the Sunday nighter? No. 4:00 Eastern, 1:00 Pacific with the write-in games here. New York Jets at the LA Chargers. We got Chargers -8, mostly 47.5 the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, this would have been the Sunday night game. They'd have flexed it out already.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Look at headline here. Chargers 10.5. My powering number, Chargers 10.5. The markets were at 9.5, and now it's down to 8. There's been nothing but Jets money. Wise guys love to be on these miserable teams. Yes, I'm being a little bit facetious. And again, the Chargers, they have 7 one-score losses in their first 9 games. Yesterday's counts again as a one-score loss. Justin Herbert's worst game as a pro. His quotes that he was not a happy camper after the game. 187 yards, 20 of 32 passing. That was 77 yards fewer than his worst outfit. But now it's the Chargers team. Again, they were not in the game yesterday. They're laying more than a touchdown. And the winless teams coming off the bye. The Jets gave everything they had, prior to the bye week. Got the point spread covered. Didn't get the victory, obviously. But the effort was there. And historically, winless teams off the bye have been a good bet. And we're seeing that right now with the money coming, the money really pouring in on the New York Football Jets here. Chargers a hard team to lay this type of price with, even though, again, the look-ahead line was 10.5. I'm seeing 7.5 out there, and only one of these two teams played. So you're seeing a pretty significant betting market adjustment right now, downward on LA.
Teddy, we got one game left here. Shout out to the chat box, everybody joining us live. Carlos, CGC, Dominic, Ryan, Lauren Williams in the house. Shout out to all you guys. Please smash the like button if you're liking the content. Come back and join us each and every Monday. Simulcast live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Also on Twitter. If you're watching on Twitter, welcome in, and please smash the like button as well. That does help us out. And if you're watching on replay, like we know most of you are, feel free to drop a line in the comments below and smash the like button as well. It is 10 a.m. Pacific start each and every Monday. Teddy covers on Twitter at Teddy_covers. Myself on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets, also at WagerTalk and at Sports Memo, as well as we got the last game here Monday, November 23rd. 473-474 LA Rams, Tampa Bay Bucks. We got the Bucks -3 in Tampa, 47.5 being the total here, Teddy.
Yeah, it's 3.5. This is a split line right now.
Okay.
With Tampa, and it's one of those situations where I'm honestly not sure which way it's going to go. Not going to hurt you to take a +3.5 here. It's not going to hurt you to lay a -3 here. It's not going to change. It's either going to be 3 or 3.5, and it may well be like this. We used to call this line back in the Tuesday group. We call this the 3.25 line. Where you can get both 3s and 3.5s. The 3s you're going to lay juice one way. The 3.5s you're going to lay juice the other way. So
it's good for sports bettors.
Yeah. I mean, it is. There's no doubt. It's an advantageous situation because you can get the best of the number. And so, and I haven't seen an indicator. I haven't seen a clear indicator that it's moving one way or the other. I really haven't. Look ahead line here was 3.5. My powering number only 2.5. The market's at 3.5 this morning. Interesting to talk about this total has already been bet down. Let me start side real quick. Goff versus pressure is not pretty, and the Bucs do have a defense that can put pressure on them. And of course, left tackle Andrew Whitworth suffered a knee injury yesterday. That's a big concern. But they did bring in Joe Noteboom, who was drafted as Whitworth's replacement like 3 years ago, and he's been hurt. He was on injury reserve, and he came in got replaced, activated ahead of Sunday's game just in the nick of time for Whitworth's injury. But that is a significant concern against this Tampa defense. 5th cross-country trip of the season already for LA, although the fact is that it's a Monday night game as opposed to an early Sunday. They do have extra time. The Bucs have shown us blowout stuff, okay? In second halves, when the offense finds a rhythm, the defense doesn't let up. 3 of the last 4 wins for Tampa have come blowout. They've won by more than 3 touchdowns. So when they find that rhythm, and then, when you think about all the things that went wrong for Tampa, they had the left guard, Ali Marpet, who's been maybe their best offensive lineman. He got concussed, and then they had to alter their practice schedule because of a tropical storm, and then there was a 7.5-hour plane delay that I was tweeting about getting to the game. And then, an opening drive fumble by Ronald Jones set up a Panthers touchdowns. The defense didn't play well. And yet at the end of the game, Tampa freaking killed that team. And that's, they are a blowout team. That's definitely, even and the Rams don't get blown out very often. They did get blown out their last trip back east when they went to Miami. Although that game was, it was a defensive and special team scores. Worth noting, you talk about Goff versus a good defense. What about Brady versus a good defense? We'll find out on Monday Night Football. I'm not bullish on Tom. I don't think that Tom Brady is going to throw the football around on Monday night against LA the way he did against Carolina. Night and day difference between those two defenses. And again, we've already seen some under money come in on this one. I don't think we're going to see a lot more, but we could.
All right, maybe looking towards the under in that one. And also, Teddy, wanted to throw out a stat. The LA Rams, like you talked about, a bunch of East Coast trips this season. They have had success, but most of their success against the NFC East opponents. You talked about going down to South Florida, Miami. They didn't look as good. So keep that in your heads when looking to bet this, guys. But that does it for the NFL opening line report. Teddy, throw it over to you, man. Any closing comments here before we shut this down?
Yeah, so I love doing the show because it's not scripted. Nothing scripted. It's just you throw games at me and I'll tell you what I think. And I've got a bunch of notes here, but you're genuinely getting some off the cuff and a lot of gut reactions. Sometimes I'm talking stuff out for the first time, so I find it really helpful to do. I hope you find it really helpful to watch and listen. We really appreciate it. This show is growing like crazy. I can't believe the numbers that we're putting up on this show on a week in, week out basis. So if you like it, it's always going to be free. All right. The only thing we ask, just tell your friends. I want this show to grow. So does Drew. So does Sports Memo and WagerTalk and all that. And the comments we're getting, it's so flattering. I really appreciate all these positive comments. The best show, must watch. Thank you. That's what we try to be. The only thing I ask is you tell your friends. So we'll be here again next Monday, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock for you, those of you guys back east. We all know that Pacific time is the best time when it comes for sports betting. But cheers, guys. Thanks so much. Good luck tonight on Monday Night Football. Again, you get to play if you're interested at Sports Memo or WagerTalk.com, just $9.
Teddy, well said. We'll do the time zone, which is the best in the off season. That could be a segment for the opening line report. But yeah, guys, next Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific, come back and join us. Please smash the like button. Always fun. Huge shout out to the chat box, guys. Best of luck with your bets and